Buenos dias. Welcome to us, Spain. Hi, Gaetano. How's it going?
It's going bueno, Tanya.
Bueno, bueno, bueno. Do you have an our
Well,
Spain for us?
I do have an Spain. So my dear friends Phil and Susan took me out to lunch last week for a menu del dia
Oh,
at
which
a
we
place
love.
we had never been to, and I the if I get the name right, I think it was called Gastromantic, something like
Okay.
that. And they're like, pick a place. And so I kind of did a Google search thing and I was like, this is near kind of where they live. Let's find it. And we were so pleasantly surprised with the menu and the price, right? The menu del dia here is an amazing
It's
little thing.
amazing.
And, I will say the lunch for the three of us came to €50. And that was three courses plus a bebida, plus a drink. And I thought and the food was like really amazing. And it was such a pleasant little surprise. So that was my Spain. And it was air conditioned. And
Oh, well, I mean, that's the bonus right
oh,
there.
and you know what they had? A real salad with like lots of
No
lettuce. It was
way.
like an arugula spinach salad with
Oh,
like crumbled nuts and
oh,
things. It
nice.
was and with it had a skewer of meat and like a tzatziki type sauce. Oh, it was so good.
That sounds really nice because you never know. Like a menu del dia, if you're going to a place you've never been to before, I mean, you have to go out and try them because when you find good ones, then you start to have a list, right? And it's
Right.
such a great deal.
But the problem with the menu del dia is you find a good one, then you go back, and then it's also what they're serving for that menu del dia. It's not necessarily always like a. There's a place around the corner that does. They had a liver, and I've been back. Keep walking by. Liver has not been on the menu again, and I'm like,
Oh my
I mean, I guess
goodness.
they have to keep changing it to keep people coming back too. But
Right.
also, to your point, you also want to find the place that does food very well. And I was very surprised. I mean, I was not surprised. I was very happy that this random choice came out to be very good. So that was my Spain.
I
Yeah.
love that. That's a perfect. And that does kind of bring us into what we're going to talk about today a little bit, although pretty much anything would have, because we're talking about everything today, which is
We
the
are.
cost of living in Spain, which is obviously a hot topic. What is it really like? And we can only tell you from our experience, and that's what we're going to do is kind of delve into that a little bit in what our experiences are and then you're all on your own.
Yeah, you're on your own. It kind of gave you an idea. I mean, so I think we should backtrack for anyone who's new listening. We are both families of three.
Hmm.
You are two adults and a child, and I'm two children and an adult. But my child eats like one of your adults. So we
Yes, I
have
would say we're about even on the food consumption chart. When we put Paloma and Joad together, it's like, is there any food for anybody else?
exactly.
But and then we have all the pets, right? So that those are the add. We're not really talking about add-ons, because you can add on until the cows come home, and you can bring a cow home. So it's just
Right.
we're
And
just gonna
and
do
then there are
basics.
some differences too, is Tanya has a house in the country and we have an apartment in the city. I rent, she owns. So we're gonna talk about that in our experiences too, because some of our costs are different because of that. And we have
Mm-hmm.
air conditioning and heat and they don't. So that affects things as we get through.
Yeah.
So that's a little debrief before we go into all of this to bring everyone up
Absolutely.
to
Yeah.
speed.
I would say so. We could start just with sort of housing, I guess. I think it's if we start with the cost of housing in the city is probably a good place, and if you go out of the city you could expect it to be a little bit less, and in some areas the same. So I
Right.
think the cities, and we're also, by the way, talking about the Valencia area. We are not familiar with living in other parts of Spain, so obviously I think it would be expected that Madrid and Barcelona are more expensive, but there's also cheaper places. You can go live out in the middle of nowhere, you can live in a smaller town, you could live in a more expensive touristy place. So this is Valencia, which I think would be kind of in the middle, I think, of
Right.
a in
And
general.
Valencia has gone up a lot in the past couple of years because it's been,
Hmm.
the Condé Nast list and the CNN list of where people are moving to. So it has
Yeah.
surprisingly gotten more expensive than when we first moved here or before we thought about moving here. And there might be other cities that aren't on the list that might be of comparable size and amenities that might not be
Yeah.
as expensive. That's where you got to do your
Absolutely.
research. We can't do it all for you.
Yeah. So I think just for cost of living purposes, I mean, a two-bedroom apartment in Valencia. So we're talking renting, not buying. Obviously,
Hmm.
buying is a whole other thing. I think there's not a lot of one bedrooms. That's not so much a thing. And I think somebody
Right.
that might be doing one bedroom might be looking at roommate situations anyway. So if you are, you're probably going to get a two bedroom for the same ish price, and then you get like an office or a roommate or something.
Right.
So we're
Right.
looking at maybe what we're saying, like 900 to 1200 maybe. Obviously you could probably find one for 3000, but
You could
this is
definitely find one for 3,000, but if your budget's between 9 and 12, I think you're good to go, and you have a lot of neighborhoods at your disposal. I think,
hmm
you're not going to be in the fanciest of the fancy neighborhoods, but this is such a small city, and each neighborhood's so small, so you can live next door to the fancy neighborhood and feel like you're living in it if that's important to you.
yeah,
But
so walkable, right? So,
yeah.
and I think Valencia is also quite a safe city in general. So I mean, I think, yeah, adjacent, is fine. And some of them come furnished and some of them don't, so that's also something to look at,
Right.
and that can
And
sometimes change your price as well.
well, I mean, that's the thing. Well, I don't know if it really changes. I find that I think unfurnished might actually come up as more expensive. They are harder to find.
hmm
It's the mini furnished places. I know when we were looking, it was like, I don't want furnished. I want to
Right, there's a
make it our
lot.
home. And it was
Yeah,
also, this was our forever move, right? I was like, I want us to move into things we like versus that for sure. And
absolutely.
and if you
Yeah,
go in
and
idealistic, you'll see why some of the furnishings aren't that great. Right? It's very old. It's been passed
yes.
down.
And speaking of, I mean, just as a heads up, since we're talking, this is kind of a cost of living thing, but also just to read your contracts, because we looked at a place. For starters, the prices will vary at the
Mhm.
time of year that you're looking. So if
Right.
you're going to be moving in January and you're looking at places in, in the middle of July, it's gonna, that place may not be available, or it might, but the prices may change. So
Hmm.
also, but also we had a place, and in the contract it said, we didn't sign the contract, FYI.
Hmm.
In the contract, it said if at any point they can get more for the rent, they can move us out of the apartment, yeah, into a what's the word, like a place that's kind of comparable. And we were like, to no, and to who? Like, who gets to judge what's comparable? And
How could that even be legal? I can't still be
it's
legal. I mean,
I don't know. I think it is kind of one of these things where there's two types of sort of situations. Like, it's, we're not going to get into the legalities of renting long term and short term and stuff. But if you're looking, maybe it was an apartment that was really designed for more short term, and
mm,
they wanted it to be available in the summer to rent out to someone that they could get more money for. So they didn't actually
right.
want someone in there long term. So just always read your contracts. You can go onto Google, translate them, have someone else look at them, double check everything, and just make sure there's, because it is still a place where the rents will go up in the summer, and the
Hmm.
landlords might, wants extra money there. So
Right.
I think that kind of
Especially if you're
covers.
closer to the beach too, because that's the beach
Yes.
rental thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, that is a thing too. If you're coming here and you're looking for a shorter term rental because you're going to buy something, and you come in November, get a beach apartment because it will be very inexpensive
They
compared to
live
like
by the
living
beach.
in the city. If you're
Yeah.
like, we're only going to be there for a few months,
This is so true. Yeah.
that might be the
It is
place
a
to
little
go.
harder to get places for shorter term, I think. So,
Hmm.
we when we moved, we were planning on renting for a year while we looked around, and that
Hmm.
seemed like a reasonable thing to do, because not only, if you're actually looking to buy, not only do you want to really get to know the areas, it also takes a while to close on a house here, on an apartment.
Hmm.
So that's not
Like how
something.
long, if I may ask? How long did it take you to close?
2 months.
Okay.
And then if you put August in the middle of it, it could be 3 months. I mean,
Right.
you have to be. I'm not saying it's going to take that long. If you want a mortgage, if I mean, these things.
Right.
It's not like in America, and I don't know what it's like in England and other countries. But in America, if you want a mortgage, you can go to the bank, you can get everything pre-approved, and then literally you could find a place and sign in 3 days, and you get the keys, and the bank's already on board.
Right.
Well, here the bank's going to want to see the house. They're going to want to evaluate the house for themselves. So that has to happen, and then they will approve the mortgage, and then the mortgage has to go maybe to Barcelona and Madrid and Zaragoza and Valencia, and then back to Madrid, and then come back. I mean, it's like it has to be approved, and then you can
Okay.
go to the notary and sign for everything. So it just is a bit of a process, and
So if you
that's,
find
yeah.
a place, don't tell your landlord we're going to be out by the end of the month.
No. But also, I think it's nice to sit around somewhere, especially in a country that you haven't lived before, and kind of get to know the area a little bit.
For sure.
So,
I'm glad we've been renting because I have explored the city more than I ever would have, and now I'm much more open to neighborhoods I never
hmm,
even considered before. That because it's just you look at a map, if you're not there, you're like, that looks so far away, and then you get here and you're like, oh, that is actually very close. It's not far. Like it's
right,
it's oh, this is not where everyone wants to move. Well, I don't know why. There's some great restaurants over here. Right? Like it's
right.
so it's
And the more you see, the more you know about the quality of the homes and bathrooms
hmm
and kitchens, and I mean all that stuff. It's just yeah. Um, and I think I think that pretty much covers housing. I mean, that's been our
right.
experience. That's what we did, and that cost is pretty sort of comparable,
Now,
I think.
can I bring up what I thought was my biggest sticker shock when we first arrived, which it still kind of
Hmm.
is the price of groceries and the markets. Like
Okay.
coming back, I mean, yeah, you sounded worried. Like, what's he going to talk about? But
Oh
for
my
me,
God. Have we, it's like,
this is
what
supposed to
is
be
it
the
gonna
hospital.
be?
Yeah. But I remember, I tell this story a million times, so maybe I've told it here. But when we first arrived and we went to the grocery store and we got all of this stuff, and Plum, my youngest was like, "Dad, we gotta go." When she saw the bill, I was like, "Honey, I'm packing up the cart. Relax, relax.
Let's not
We
leave the
get
food
there."
behind.
Yeah, I'm like, "What was your rush?" She goes, "Did you see that price? They forgot to ring up stuff." And I was like, "We didn't steal anything, honey. That is the price." And it was definitely a huge discount. And then what we was like, I think we spent like 120 euros on our first grocery spree. That was to stock an empty refrigerator and
Right.
empty cabinets, and it was a huge
Yeah.
amount of stuff. I laid it out on my counters, and I sent the picture to our friends back in
Of
LA. And
course, just to
I was like,
irritate
"How
them.
much do you think this cost?" And they're like 400 euros, and I was like, "Nope, 100."
But isn't it funny though? It's like, so now, like, Jawad likes to go to the farmer's market and get the fresh produce and all this type of thing. And he's very good at going to all the, because he does most of the shopping. So you still, within the much lower range of what things cost, you start getting horrified when prices go up, right?
100%.
Once you've been here for a while. So this is like, I don't know how to say this, but it's like you do get used to things, and then you're kind of back in your norm of what
Right.
things cost. So then we've had this issue, and this is something that I think started in COVID, which is that the farmers markets are the you can't actually pick your own stuff in the ones that we have around here that we've been to. They just give
That's
you a bag of stuff, and half of it might be bad and half of it might not be. So you're not getting the benefit of the lower cost in some of those places. So we were asking around and saying, like, has anyone got a place where we can pick our own stuff and da 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 da? Well, we found one.
you found, because that's a
We
cultural thing. It's very cultural here not to be able to handle your own fruit at the markets, not at the supermarket,
Well,
but
now
at
you
the
say cultural thing, but I think it's something that started in COVID, in my opinion. But I could be wrong, so we'll leave that on the table because I don't know. But what happens
dear
that
listeners, do our research for us,
please do
please, and
our
get back to
research
us.
and let us know. Anybody that's been here longer than us, because we landed right there, like, so we have no idea. But what you have to, there's these fruta y verdura places like all over the city and all over everywhere,
Mhm.
often right next to supermarkets. And all they sell is the fruit and vegetables and I don't know, maybe some jars of tomato sauce or something. But they're
Right.
very basic, like an indoor farmer's market, right? And those
Mhm.
places, I think, generally have to be a bit cheaper because they're surviving next to supermarkets. So they have to be cheaper than the supermarkets.
Well,
But
they're
a lot,
also,
yeah.
in my experience, there's two types in the city. There are the ones that have the secondhand fruits and vegetables, and the ones that
Mm-hmm.
are the more upscale, and they have that seems like the mini central markets, right? Like they have the really fresher fruit, but then there's
Right.
like these lesser ones where the fruit's kind of like that's you're gonna eat that fruit that day. That's been my
Absolutely.
experience.
And we've been given bags of strawberries where it's like, oh, the half of this is not good. And so you're kind
Right,
of by the end of it, the price is pretty similar to going to a supermarket and getting a nice pretty box of pretty strawberries, right?
right.
But those places tend to be, I think you can pick your own a little
Hmm
bit more. So that's a way to do kind of a farmer's market in a place where you can pick your own. And we did get a really good hookup in this place that is huge and has really good stuff, and their prices are amazing. And you have to put on one of the plastic gloves, right, which is
Right.
fine, and then you pick your own stuff. So Jawad's feeling really happy and you know, excited about all the fruit and vegetables and everything he brings back from there. We can eat it all, so it's super.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like again, even within the very low cost of what it costs to buy stuff at a farmer's market, we're still looking for a
A
better
better
deal.
deal. Well, I mean, it's now your economy, right? It's not as cheap
Right.
as when you moved here because it's you're not living that way, right? And
Right.
so, and it's our life now, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
get mad. I mean, I was there's a baguette when I first moved here. They were, I think this one baguette was like 58 cents, and I
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh my gosh, that would be 5.99 in LA, and it
Right.
went up to 62, and I about
No.
I about threw a fit, and now it's up to 65, and
Oh
it's
my
it's
goodness.
about. It's a good 3 centimeters shorter than it used to be. I know that because it
Oh,
used
they
to fill
shortened
up the
it
bag.
too.
Yeah, I'm like, oh,
Oh.
this they're doing that little trick on us,
And I think our baguettes in Consum, our local supermarket, are somewhere between like 80 cents and 115 or something. They're sort of in that range depending on
That is
the
expensive.
right.
I'm like, well, smell you. Someone got a
I
bonus
know.
check.
Yeah, and you know, obviously, like anywhere in the world, different supermarkets, different prices. But I would say a monthly grocery bill, like we're looking at, what do you
For a
think? Like,
for like two people, maybe like 400 a month. For a family of
yeah.
like for our family, our grocery bill's closer to 800. I don't know
So
about
between
yours. I mean,
150 and 200 a week, maybe for food,
yeah,
and that doesn't include sort of that's just literally your grocery bill. If you're cooking, like both, to be fair, both you and I, we're all cooking almost every meal at home, and we do go out occasionally, but we cook a lot.
right,
So that's your grocery bill if you're going to be cooking and actually,
right.
you know, cooking your food yourself mostly.
And I think we can mention, and I'm sure other people have mentioned it and stuff, is that Spain has what Spain has. So there is going to be a little bit of a shock coming from like America or England, where the grocery stores have the foods from all over the world and everything's at your
Mm-hmm.
disposal on every corner. Here, Spanish grocery stores have Spanish foods, and that's what they serve. So if you want all your different fancy French and Italian cheeses, they're not going to have it. And so some stores will have them, and you can find a French store and you can find an Italian
Mm-hmm.
market and those things and get that, and you'll pay the premium for having imported stuff. Like if you want your Jif peanut butter, you're going to have to find that in an American store and pay €8 a jar. But Mercadona has it. You said, I think you've mentioned Consume has. The other stores
Mm-hmm.
have their own kind of peanut butter. It's not that exotic here. It's not some places where you can never find peanut butter. They
Well,
have
when
it. They
we
all have
first
it.
moved here, it was not very accessible, and it was in a really weird part of the store with the protein, like gym people food,
Hmm.
and now they've kind of moved it, and now, like literally last week, they added a crunchy peanut butter. This None of
Ah.
this appeals to me. It's also disgusting, but you know that ended up in our house somehow. Anyway, I was like, now we have crunchy, but also to that point, I mean, they have, you're right, because like it's all very Spanish cheeses and all this kind of thing if you just go to a
Hmm.
regular supermarket, but they do have something that I love that has become a new favorite that I don't buy that often because it is quite expensive, is a it's one of the Spanish hard cheeses, and it's got ribbons of truffle in
Oh,
it.
I love that one. Yeah, and
So
all the stores have
good.
it. All the
Oh my
stores have that
gosh.
truffle cheese. Yeah,
It is so good. But
and I
that,
think, and when she says it's really expensive, a
is
block is
not.
like €4, and it's a small block, but it's like €4. It isn't. It's
It's
not
more
20 bucks.
expensive than my cheddar cheese and my
Right,
other, like, because they do have really good cheeses in my opinion here in Spain. I mean, it's
right.
different from your fancy French cheeses and stuff, but they do have all these goats, sheep, cow cheeses. They mix all of them. They like, so their sort of standard hard cheeses are very flavorful and delicious. I
Right.
think, but
And they
they're
do
different.
have all this. I'm sorry for interrupting you, but they do have all this stuff here. It's just you're not going to find it at the one grocery store, right? You have to find your
Mm-hmm.
different markets, which is also an exciting thing because you then get to explore you get to explore the city. You can find the
Absolutely.
Russian market that's going to have the thing, and the Ukrainian and the Bulgarian markets, and all these other little markets that
Mm-hmm.
feed to these communities. We've talked about the Hyper Asia store, the Asian market, that if you need all your sauces, go to Hyper Asia. They've got
Right.
sauces galore, right?
Mm-hmm. Can I tell you something I didn't tell you yet?
Sure. What?
In
Uh
this
oh.
in this fruit and vegetable place, guess what I found there?
What? What?
Horseradish.
Oh, how random.
Right? Like not a sauce, an actual horseradish roots.
Oh, the vegetable,
Yeah,
the
yeah, the
root, the
vegetable.
thing. Oh, wow. I haven't even seen that here.
Right. We've never
Wow.
seen it anywhere. I'm like, I was gonna leave it as a surprise and like get you one, but now you're like heading out next week and this, so I'm like, I don't know if they'll still have it, but we have to
Well,
go
I
back
have
and
the
get them.
jarred horseradish, but what I'm just thinking is, if you need a little business, you could start jarring this stuff. You know what I
Yes,
mean? Because there's a lot
that's
of people
true.
in Valencia that would love some horseradish. So,
So those were some. There are some things like you said that you just can't find, and then they suddenly pop up somewhere totally random, which is that's fine. You just have to remember where
exactly.
you went. So okay, well, moving on from groceries, we do have eating out. Obviously, it kind of goes together. And you did already mention the menu del dia, which is just I think a very uniquely Spain thing as far as my travels and my experiences, where
I think so.
it's
I
so
mean,
common.
right. It's so common. I think there might be, and well, France has the prefix lunches and stuff, so I guess it's similar. But
Maybe.
here it is a cultural thing. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of just what you do at lunch. You go to Menu del Dia, right? It's
Yeah, so you get
uh,
3 courses. You get, a starter and a main dish, and then you usually either picking a dessert or coffee, one or the other. And then
right,
if you want to have a drink, it's usually extra. So the price ranges from I would say 10 to 15, 16, kind of on a usual basis if you're walking around
right,
looking at prices, but you can get them for like 26 euros. I mean, there are places
right,
that have expensive ones, but your general range, if you're walking around looking at regular, normal restaurants, 10 to 16, I would say, in the city.
right. And I would say the place that's selling them for 26, your a la carte meal would probably be 60 for a person. So
Oh,
it's
yeah,
definitely
probably.
it's definitely worth the like if you're like that's too much, we're like, would you really eat there for dinner? Because that's really going to hit your pocketbook, right? Your
Right. And they
wallet,
might be
right?
doing a fancy, you'll see the New Year's Eve or something, something special or some special holiday in Spain. They might up their prices and do something a little fancier, even in any normal places.
Well,
And
the menu del dias do have different price points. It's the
yeah.
Monday through Friday price, and then there's the
Mm.
Saturday, Sunday, and holiday price. So they
Yeah,
do
so
up it.
almost everywhere it's more expensive to eat out on the weekends and holidays.
Yes.
So that they have like these that they're very popular here. They seem to be everywhere. These buffets, these where you're eating like libre. So it's like
The
you
all
could
you can eat,
or
right?
you can eat buffets, or you sit at the table and they bring the food you order on little pieces of paper or something, and those are like 16, 17 during the week, but they might pop up to like 25 on the weekend.
Right.
And that you can find those with Chinese food, with sushi, with all sorts of different things, and
And
that's
paella, there's a couple in the
and
city that
paella
it's just all
ones.
Spanish
Yeah,
food. Yeah.
we did
Hmm.
try a paella one. I wasn't super impressed with the one that we tried, but each to their own of that.
What I thought was surprising about those places, have you noticed that some of them it's a height? So if you're over the height,
Oh
it's
yeah,
not
they
the
have a height
age.
measurement.
Yes.
Yeah. So
We
if
don't
you're
care if you're
short,
12. She's 6'2". She's paying the grown-up price,
totally.
right?
And if you have if you're short, you might get the kid price if you're lucky. You
Right.
never know.
Hope so. We have to see. Is
Right.
that
So we have a restaurant that we love to go to for the menu del dia, and it was 10 euros. So we were just like, this is when we first moved, we were like, this is ridiculously amazing. And the chef was like really, really good. This was a point where Zena was only eating, like if she had a burger, it was literally meat in the bun, no ketchup, no nothing, no lettuce,
Mhm.
nothing in it. So we had ordered that, and the chef actually came out to double check that was what she wanted, because he had never heard of anything so ridiculous as like
Okay.
a hamburger with nothing on it. Really,
Right.
really, really nice of
I
her. So
remember those days. Yes.
yeah, so we went back recently, and the guy was just like, I'm so sorry, it's moved, it's now 11 euros. And he was so apologetic. I have to, he's like explaining that the cost of all the food has gone up. And we're like, in our heads, we're like, it's 11 euros. It's still amazing, right? For what they're producing for 11 euros.
Hmm.
But it was hard because, things do go up, and nobody wants to upset, customers. But I still think
Right.
obviously still a great price for a
Well, I
menu.
mean, I think at that price point, you're like do we slave in the hot kitchen or just go out? Right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, so that's definitely one of our treats, just because it's also really good food. Um,
Hmm.
and I think, so
I mean,
that's
it's.
kind of, yeah.
I was gonna say another sticker shock is the price of like coffee out,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
I mean, can you make it for that price at home when they're like it's €1.50? You're like, it cost me €1 to just wash my cup at home. You know what I
Well, and it's not
mean?
that we've talked about this before. It's not my dream coffees. They are very tiny.
Hmm.
So when we say that you're getting coffee for like €1.20, €1.50 or something, it's a tiny weeny cup, which is fine. That is what it is. It's
It's
still a good
usually an
deal.
espresso. It's
Yeah,
espresso
but
type
even the
thing. Yeah.
lattes are tiny.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
but they're good. And then, the other thing is fast food. This is one of the things that for me was we not we don't eat a lot of fast food, but
Hmm.
here when you have menu del dias from a really nice restaurant cooking really good food, and it costs more to go to McDonald's, it
Yeah.
really changes. I mean, I understand how the fast food makes it in America because it's so much cheaper and it makes sense for a lot of people to spend that. But here,
But
I
it
don't
isn't
understand
anymore.
it,
You haven't been back in a while. In the past few years, fast food has skyrocketed
really. But
in the
so has the
states.
cost
Yeah.
of food, so it might still be comparable to what it would. It's not might still be cheaper than
I
cooking
mean,
for
for a
yourself.
family of three to eat McDonald's, you're looking at $25. So it
Yeah.
is. It's definitely you're like, well, it's not cheaper. Definitely not cheaper than before. Fast food was like on your way home. I don't want to cook. This will be $5 to feed us, and you're good. Now you're like, it's $25. Well, I might as well cook because I can do that for 10.
Yeah. I
Right?
mean, it's definitely like that here. Like, if you're
Yeah.
going to McDonald's or one of the fast food chains, it's going to be comparable to any other way of eating here. So
Right.
now, therefore, it will be a choice of I want that, not
It is.
it's
It's like
cheaper.
the fast food is a treat
Hmm.
versus a convenience, right? Because
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, because agreed.
Yeah. And there you
But we
have it.
did, the Burger King menu does have a cheap thing, and the only time we ever get the Burger King is when we're coming home from the train, like the big train
Hmm.
station, and I'm
It's
like,
on the
it's on
way
the way,
there.
but you're ordering from the little menu where the burgers are like a €1.50. I'm like, you can get three of those, but I'm not buying you a Whopper
Right.
for €8 because you can get three of those for cheaper because I am still a single dad on a budget. So
Yeah, I mean, if you're eating Happy Meals, you're probably still doing okay, and
right.
but yeah, it's kind of funny. Transportation is fun, so I don't think we're really even going to get into what it costs to have a car because I mean, you have to buy a car and then you got to pay for gas and it's a
And
whole
gas
thing.
here is more expensive, but insurance is very cheap. And we can do like
I can
the
do the
run through really quick.
insurance. Yeah,
Yeah,
so our
insurance
insurance
is
for the
much
car
cheaper.
is like 250 a year. And I
That's
was like
insane.
Paloma at the grocery store when that happened. I was like, Joelle, let's get out of here. This can't be right. Let's go. And then on the back of
Give
my
her.
mind, I'm thinking, but what if we're not insured? And it comes with like roadside service and like I'm like, this can't be right. So that is
Right.
great. And
Right.
we bought a secondhand car, and then that, so you can obviously pay whatever you want for a secondhand car. You get what you pay for, and then the cost. Let me see if I get this right. Maybe you can say it because I'm going to get it wrong because it's so weird.
You pay more if there's two sticker prices. It might be €25,000 if you give them cash and 22,000
Yeah,
euros if you finance it, which still works out to like the 25,000 after you've
right.
paid your
All
interest
the
or whatever.
exactly.
Yeah,
So there
all
you
that stuff.
go.
But
So that was a
you're
little
getting
thing
you're
that was
getting hit
weird.
either way, but
You're
it
getting
is
hit either
weird.
way. Yeah.
Yeah. Now,
Um,
what I want to know is there a penalty that if you're like, all right, I'll agree to the 23, and in 2 months I'll give you the rest, and you don't get that? Like, I
I'm
don't know. Is
sure
there
there is always going to be a penalty that will make the prices the same.
right, exactly.
I think they've thought that out before you have thought about it. I'm
You think so?
150% sure, yes. And then we have, if you want to lease a car, it's called renta. So that's very confusing. Renta is leasing, and then
Hmm.
renting is another word, but so that's confusing. And that's what, if you want a search of what it costs to lease a car, that's renta. You can look up
Which
that.
is very similar, right? You have to have a large
Very,
down payment and a little monthly
I wouldn't say
payment kind of
large.
thing.
No, I mean, what's large?
Well, I looked at one car. I was looking, and
Okay.
it was like, and it was. I think it might have been like a Mini Cooper, which is not an
Yeah.
expensive car, but it was something like 7,000
Well,
down.
that's
But
quite
then
an
like,
expensive car. But yeah, I would say
but like
what
200 a
you,
month, right?
yeah, so if you could put down less and your lease payment will go up to 300. So when we went to rent a car, it was like, how much are you going to put down? That will affect your price. So that's
Right.
how that works. What you put down. But if you're a foreigner coming in and da 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 da, you might find you have to put down more depending on how long you've lived here and da, 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 all these things, right? So
Right.
if you have the choice of putting down various amounts, it will only just affect how much you pay per month.
Been looking that used car prices compared to America are very low. Used car prices have been in a very high premium in America for the past few years. So I
Mm-hmm.
did notice when I was looking, I had a little like, wow, that is very inexpensive because I've toyed with the idea of leaving this city and moving to the suburbs and what that economy would mean if we're saving this, but now I have
Yeah.
to buy a car. And I was like, well, we can get a used car for a price that I don't think we could find one back in the States. I'll just say that,
Yeah, and
So
here in Valencia, there's definitely has been, and it might be coming out of that now, but because of the Dana, the
mm-hmm.
used cars, the necessity for those went up and the prices went up a little bit, so that will eventually even out
Come back
probably.
down.
But often when things go up, they never come down, right? So who
Right.
knows? But still, it's probably going to be a little bit cheaper than doing it in America. But you also have maybe there's quite a few companies that do that type of thing, sort of car maxi type places
Mm-hmm.
that you can go through, and obviously you can also go and do it individually.
Isn't Flexcar or something like that? Isn't one called Flexcar
God,
or
I don't
something
remember the
like
names
that?
of them now, honestly. Yeah, sorry. And then the transportation, the public transportation in the city is so expensive.
Not, she means not expensive. But I will have to give with the caveat, it's like we can talk about the price of the public transport in the city, but when you live in the city, you don't use public transport. So they have like, monthly cards. I think the monthly card is like 37 euros or something like that to have like an
Right.
unlimited card. But we live in the city and we buy a 10 pack for it used to be 4 euros. I think it's gone up to 6 euros now because it's also subsidized. There's a percentage discount for it. And but anyway, what I was saying is if I buy a 10 pack, sometimes that 10 pack lasts me 2 months. So it's
Right.
like
So that's what we're talking about, right? We're talking
yeah,
about what it actually costs. So because it's such a
right.
walkable city, realistically, your monthly budget for public transportation is only like $3,
It's penny. It's pennies
right?
a month, right? It
Yeah.
really is. Um and they do have this like government discount that they renew every 6 months, and part of it didn't get renewed. And I think in a previous episode I had talked about my daughter getting the free subway card. Well, my
Yeah.
older one, it's no longer free. And if we want
Yeah.
to use it, it's got a discount at like 14.90 euros a month,
Right.
which is like, oh, that's cheap, but she'll never spend that 14.90, so I'm just going to have
Right.
to get her a 10 pack card for when
Yeah,
she
and I mean
wants
it
it because she'll
depends
never use the
because
unlimited.
yeah, I mean in reality when we're talking about the actual cost of living here, if you're not needing public transportation, it's going to be very cheap like what you just said. If you
Right.
have a kid that needs to take a bus to school every day or something, then you're going to be using a monthly card probably and it's still very
Right.
inexpensive. So
Very
you said
inexpensive,
what
yes.
14 euros
14.90
um,
for the youth
for
card
the
people.
youth
So that's
card.
14 to 30 years
Okay.
old can use that, or
And then if
15 to
you're an
30 years old.
adult and you want a monthly, it's how much
I
roughly?
want to say it's like 30
30
something, I
something.
think.
So if that's something you need for work or something, then that's kind of roughly what that would cost. But like you said, I mean, chances are you'll live in walking distance. Whether you want to walk it every day or not is up to you.
And if
But
you're
yeah,
coming
it's
here as a
doable.
worker, you still might be not needing it because you're going to be living probably close to work.
Right.
I think the people are going to really need it if you move to the suburbs and you find you're coming to the city every day. You'll definitely need it,
Yeah.
or further out, like the further reaches of the city,
Right.
right?
And I think for me the biggest kind of immediate shock for pricing was the internet and phones. Because we
Mm-hmm.
were spending in America, I want to say something like 180 or 200 a month or something for Comcast for just like Wi-Fi, and then we had like
Mm-hmm.
our phones on top of it. I mean, so
Mm-hmm.
our
Oh,
bills for you
yeah.
for like the internet and phones was a lot. It was really a lot, and it's so different here.
I want to say for our back in the States with the two phone lines, the internet, the Wi-Fi, and the streaming services and the cable, and we put that all together. I think it was close to 450, 500 a month.
Yeah.
And I was like, and you're like, okay. And then We can talk about what you
And
pay
then,
and what I pay, like
yeah, and
what
then
our
here,
experience
yeah,
is.
I would say here, I mean, look, we're going to leave the subscription services aside, even though yours is kind of connected. But for me, I'll leave it aside, which is that
Hmm.
my phone is 18 euros a month, and that covers me international, like calls to England, like unlimited to England, unlimited around, which obviously is important to me, but also unlimited to the US and unlimited around Europe. And that is an just, yeah, it has a bit limited data, I think, but I've never reached it, because
Hmm.
obviously we use Wi-Fi a lot here for a lot of calling as well, and a lot
Right.
of, once you're in the house, you're using that. And then for our Wi-Fi and one phone, we pay 40, and it's great
Okay.
Wi-Fi. And then so between, so we've got, more or less 60 for two phones and Wi-Fi. And I think our Wi-Fi does actually come with like TV and some apps and things and channels, but we never connected it. So I don't know, but I think it does.
Right. Well, we pay like 115, and that's for
115.
115. Yeah, then that's for two. Yeah, not not 1.15. And
Well, I just want to be clear. It might be like a baguette.
your very expensive baguette at 115. So
Exactly.
we pay 115. That's for two lines with unlimited data, unlimited voice. We only get 200 minutes international. Europe is free, but like to the UK, China, United States, we get 200 included. I think it's 200. We get included with that, but
Oh,
it also
okay.
does include our Wi-Fi, internet, um, Amazon, Disney, and Netflix. So if you add all those together, it's probably comparable.
Now, to be fair, my phone will work if I go to England, but it does not work if I go to the States. I can call to the States, but I can't take it to the States and use it. It's like that whole thing
Gotcha.
does not work. So I think we're probably pretty similar on
And I
that.
don't know about my phone on that because I haven't been back to the States and that wasn't like a priority
Yeah,
for
me
us. And then
either. Yeah.
because of all the Wi-Fi stuff, all my friends were talking either through like FaceTime, iMessage, or WhatsApp, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the calling, but I do pay for the 200 because if I have to call England's a landline number, then if I have to call a landline number that um internationally, that's why
Right.
I did get that service.
But that was probably the one where I was like, this can't be real. Like, it's so I
Yeah.
mean, and also we had no choice. It's monopoly. Like Comcast had a monopoly everywhere that we
Right.
lived, before, and we had no choice but to go with them. And it was like really, frustrating and expensive.
Hmm.
So I think, yeah, so we're very happy with those prices, but you do get used to it. I mean, if I had to go back to the States and pay those prices, I'd just be like, no, can't do
Right.
it. So utilities, kind of, since we're doing that,
I
electricity and
mean, I will
water.
say that is a big fear. If there's a reason we have to go back to the States, I was like, I don't want to pay those prices again, and I don't want to
Yeah.
buy another vacuum cleaner. I don't want to buy all this stuff again.
Again and again,
Right.
that goes back to what we said at the beginning. You get used to it, and that is
Right.
what things cost now, because you know that it can be. So yeah. All right, so electricity, water, utilities, the other things,
The other fun stuff that
the
we
other
need to
fun stuff.
discuss. So I think I mean, you have a much larger square metered place than we do, and I feel like our budgets are similar,
Yeah.
except that there's the caveat, right? You don't have the central heat and air, and but you have square footage, and we have teenage daughters, so they use water a lot different
Right.
than we do.
You have
So
two, I have one, so it probably evens out. I mean, we don't have central AC and heating. I think, we do have friends that, have a house and had central heating and decided to switch to the system that we use in our house because it was so expensive to heat the whole house. So as nice as that
mhm.
sounds, that is incredibly expensive, which is fine for
that
some.
was that was the reverse sticker shock here, is that the utilities were much more expensive than what
Yeah.
I was used to in LA. That's my experience. Now I know people who live in places like Vegas where their electricity bills are ridiculous compared to what I
Yeah.
was paying
Yeah, I mean it
in
depends.
LA.
So we have, what we don't have AC, but we have a pool and we're in the mountains, so it's a bit cooler.
Hmm.
And then we have, sort of, electrical, like plug-in electrical radiators that we move. So we don't heat rooms that we're not in.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that even people, like I was saying, that have houses might do. You have friends
Mm-hmm.
upstairs that have a super fancy system where they can do that with the central because they have multiple points. But generally speaking, that's not how it works. And if you have a big house and it has central air and heat, be ready for a really big bill and be
Really big
prepared
bill,
for
yeah.
that. And you doesn't stop you from not using it. And it is not too hot or too cold here. You will survive. You will not die in either way. It's just how
Right.
you, if you want to be comfortable, you can move to a system. Like we lived in an apartment that didn't have central air and heat. It had the units in each room, and
The
that I
splits.
loved that because we didn't
Hmm.
have to heat or have air conditioning on rooms we weren't using. So I love that, and it is
Right.
much better on your budget for sure.
For sure. Yeah, yeah. I would wish we would have the splits too, because this place that we have rooms that we're not always in, for sure. And our gas was really, really expensive. And so we bought some
Yeah.
electric heaters. And I mean, I will have like the gas on for like an hour before we go to bed, and then get through it, kids. And
Right.
here's some electric heaters for your rooms because you
Yeah.
got. But what I should mention, and I am not an expert on this, and I'm just learning about it, is that here there are different electric companies and different gas companies, and it would behoove you to shop around, which I was told it would behoove me to. I just didn't do it. So this
Yeah.
winter I'm going to go in and shop around before the gas bill comes, because someone told me there's, oh no, you're paying too much, it should be this. And so
Yeah.
I'll get back to you that when I decide to shop around,
Yeah, but I
when
mean, you
I
are
get that.
sometimes left with whatever you have if you're renting, possibly. So for our electricity, I mean, I mean, it's much higher in the winter because we're heating with electricity, and then it gets very low in the summer because we're hardly using any. So more or less €80 a month, if we
Hmm.
spread it out. And then for water, I think we were pretty similar on water, right? We were like,
I pay about 40 bucks
yeah,
a
about
month,
40 bucks a
40
month.
euros, sorry,
40
2
euros, I'm
years
sorry.
in.
40 euros. So we were pretty similar on water, even though I mean, we have a pool. It doesn't seem to make a lot of difference in the price. I mean, even when we had to fill it up, I was, oh my God, we're going to have a bill for like €1,000 or something. And it only ended up being
Hmm.
like 250. It wasn't even that
Oh
much
well.
more. And that was pretty shocking. So we might be, um, kind of, because we're up in the hills, maybe ours is a little cheaper. I don't know. We're not in the middle of the
Right.
city. What was your electrical? I mean, our electrical, yeah. So we were pretty similar, I think, on that.
I think
Yeah.
so. I mean, my electric is like about 160. I mean, see, I've never not used the heater or air conditioning, but like our electric bill is actually cheaper in the summer than it was, because our electric and gas is one bill, and I'm not
Oh,
parsing it
right.
out.
Yeah, that's difficult.
But in the winter, if we use the gas radiator, it if we use, so we have two. We have central air and heat, and we also have radiator heat. So we have
Mm.
gas for heat, but we also have electric heat. And
Oh, interesting. So you got two
I
heating systems. Aren't you
we got two
spoiled for
heating
choice?
systems, and I thought the gas would be so cheap. And
Right.
then
It's
we
not.
used the gas, and the bill came 800 bucks for 2 months, and I was like, "What?
What?
This is what?" And so then we moved to the electric, but then that bill went up, and then I'm just
Yeah.
like, and I really don't like heat, so I try not to use it. I mean, because I'd rather not be dried out, waking up every morning
Yeah.
feeling like I got a head cold. So, but anyway, that's either here or there. But I wanted to say, you had mentioned something we hadn't talked about. It just popped into my brain, which is, you had said you might not have control over your utilities when you rent, and that is true. So we have control of our utilities. I had to
Okay.
sign everything over into my name. Water's a
Mm.
weird, and it's a little off topic, but just put it in, is that you have to like move the water over to your name, but not say that you have to make sure in the contract with the water company it's showing that you're getting the bill, but you don't have the residence, because it messes everything up. It
Right.
goes into frame, and it messes up for the landlord. But we have control over where our power comes from. But I do know people that are renting, and their
They
landlord
don't.
just sent a bill, but they
Yeah.
don't want to go through the hassle of switching electricity and stuff to tenants. So you're stuck with whatever the landlord has
Yeah.
chosen, and
But
then they send them the
you do have
bills.
control over how much you're using. So like,
Right.
everyone's had that experience where they think everything is cheaper here, and not everything is cheaper here, and you just have to
Right.
watch out. And we don't have gas coming into the house, but which is very common. We just have gas tanks, butane tanks for certain things, which are our water heater and our
Mm-hmm.
stovetop, which we could have got an electric one, but we have fancy cooks in this house and they wanted, fire. So we have
Mm-hmm.
a we have a stovetop that takes that. But those things are like 17, 18 ish. That's gone up a lot since we moved here to about, let's say, €18 for one butane tank. And for the stovetop, that lasts us several months. That lasts a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But for the water heater, as discussed before, maybe a month or two at the most, I think we'll go
Okay.
through that. But again, I'm on the, it's not that cold here, right? So if it runs out because everyone's using it a lot, I'm like, well, everyone's just going to suffer a little bit so they don't take such long showers. It's cold showers for the next 2 days
Right.
until someone can go get a new tank. So there you
Well,
go.
and right now in this heat, you want the cold showers.
You
I
do.
mean,
So again, to that point, I would say the butane tank is going to last a lot longer in the summer than it does in the winter. You know, but they will
right,
inevitably
right,
run out when you have guests staying, right in the middle of a shower,
right.
because there's no like gauge on those things.
I was going to ask you, is
Right?
there a meter on
No.
it? Nothing.
I mean,
So you have
if
no
you want to
idea.
be bothered, you can go sort of lift it and see how you're doing. But no, there's nothing.
But those tanks are heavy to begin with. How do you know, right?
They're a lot lighter when they don't
Aren't
have
they?
gas in them.
Oh,
Yeah,
really? Okay.
much like tremendously.
Okay.
It's kind of an interesting thing, but not. I'm not going in there and checking because I'm fine with a cold shower. But yeah, it's always that's always the fun part.
I think, as we're talking about our expenses, right? So there's something that you need to have before you step foot on the ground here, right? Which is the
Hmm.
healthcare. So, um, it you shop that around, because there's a bunch of companies to go through, and also every couple of years shop it around if you're still using the private insurance, because you have to have private insurance as a foreigner to
Hmm.
step foot on the ground here. Before you step foot, you have to have your insurance
Yeah.
taken care of to get your visas. Like, it's just, you can't get around it, and you can't get into that public health here until after you've been here for a year and all that stuff. So you have to do it, but it is still, you have to pay it all up front, but it is still very inexpensive now. It depends on if you have pre-existing conditions, and and your age will raise it. But compared to what, I mean, compared to the States, which has no kind of national healthcare system, it was very inexpensive for a family of three.
It's
We were
incredibly inexpensive, and if you're shopping
Yeah.
around, every healthcare provider that's helping you will know there is like a Visa healthcare plan
Mm-hmm.
which is a full coverage, which means we've never paid for anything other than um, extra medicine, which has not come up to much, but the odd medicine you have to pay a little bit for.
Right.
But the medicine is a lot cheaper too. Not talking for all medicine because I don't know, but it's if we go into the emergency room, if we go to the doctor, it's all included, and it's fantastic. And I would say
Yeah, I mean, you
that's
walk in and you walk out. And
yeah,
you're not getting a bill. I mean, it's so when you say if you pay like 2,000 euros. I mean, we paid less than that for a family of three, but I'm only one
for a
adult, so it
year.
was the children for a
So we're
year.
looking at like
But
50 to €100 a month per person, roughly.
probably,
Yeah.
yeah, something I would say like that. And then there is no other expenses. So you're like, oh, that's a sticker shop. But they're like, let's go to the doctor
Well,
because
how is
it's
that sticker
all
shock? I mean,
included.
our insurance was like 2,000 a month, so that is not even sticker shock for me.
Oh my God, that's so I wasn't paying that, but yes,
Yeah, but we
ouch.
never had a good insurance. So, like, we've always worked for ourselves.
Right.
We've never had insurance come through a company. Unfortunately for us, we're never in the parameters of a good situation where
Right.
we were getting good health care, which of course is, I mean, the good and bad. So when we moved here, that was literally a monthly fee for us,
Hmm.
and it was like the whole year.
That's a huge saving. Yeah, that's a
So we were
huge
like,
saving. Right.
yay. Yeah. So I think, 2,000 a year for us, considering that's what we were paying more or less monthly for a really bad insurance here, it covers the whole year, and it is full coverage, like you said, 100%, like other than a few, other
Hmm.
than that. But you can add you can add a drug insurance as well to most insurances, which pays more into.
That was never offered to
Mhm.
me. I'm gonna have to. I had two different brokers.
Oh,
That's
really?
never been
So
offered
there's
to me.
extra drug
Yeah.
and extra dental. There's one cleaning is included, but you can pay for more in both those areas. But that is not needed for your visa insurance. But you could, if that's something that
Hmm.
you're gonna need a lot of, see what the price is. And I don't know I don't know what the price is with the drugs that we needed. It didn't work out to be worth it. You might as well just pay
Okay.
it. So yeah. So for us, the health insurance was probably one of the reasons that we moved here, and now we're autonomo and we're paying into the system. We get the local SIP card, and that's
Hmm.
just a different system. And not everything is included there either. I mean, I think we've both come across vaccinations that are not included that needed to be paid extra, right?
Right. I have one coming up for one of my daughters
Yeah,
because it would have been covered if she got it at birth, but now it's
yeah,
old because now she's old and it wasn't. It's an older vaccine it's a vaccine given to older kids in the States. Um, and here it's given at
yeah.
birth. Or maybe it wasn't around when they were born. I don't know, but that can't be right because it's I don't who knows.
Who knows?
I ain't there. I'm
Yeah.
here. All I know is I have to pay for this vaccine, and that was like she's like it's 200 euros for this vaccine for it's 100 per shot, and I was like, oh. And then it's like, just remember you haven't like paid anything for 2 years
Right.
for medicine. Like, I mean, it's
You have to put it in perspective. Yeah.
you really do.
Yeah.
I will say when I see people post or complain about like even the tax situation here, which is a lot. I did see someone break down on one of the boards the other costs, and they're like, so you're complaining that you have to pay this amount in taxes, like say they had to pay 14,000 in taxes, but they saved like 20,000 when it came into healthcare and all that. They're like, you're
Right.
still net 6,000, and that's different for everyone. But also think about that is when you're looking at taxes, think about the overall cost of living and
Hmm.
what that means to you. Like we have this hate to pay taxes, but think about what you're getting for your taxes here and
Yeah.
how that trickles down into the
And
cost of
and
transportation, food.
I think in that regard, the healthcare for us was a big deal because I think unless you are sort of independently wealthy in a large way, the miscellaneous amount of things that you might need to pay for, the surprise cost of healthcare when you're living in the States, if somebody gets sick or you break a bone or something, can really put you
Mm-hmm.
out. Like they can
Oh
take you
yeah.
out completely. So the fact that that is no longer a thing that can happen is a huge relief. So
Right.
that for us was like it that I think was a big deal in regards to the healthcare is that not maybe what your healthcare has cost you in the last couple of years, but what it could cost you if something were to happen. And that's where I
Mm-hmm.
think for me
Mm-hmm.
that's where the difference lies. So anyway, about 50
Yeah.
to 100 a month per person, and that might go up a bit if you're a bit older, because it will
Right.
go up like
Right.
anywhere else. It will go up as you get older. Ours goes up a little bit every year just because of that.
Right.
All right, should
Right.
we?
It goes up every year. And that's why you want to shop around
Yeah,
because another company might come in cheaper and save you
yeah.
some money. But so should we do like the boring things like
Well, I
gyms
was going
and
to say, let's do
paddle
the
and
fun things.
exercise?
Let's
Like,
do the
okay,
miscellaneous
sorry, fun
lifestyle stuff,
things.
which is all the stuff you actually want to do if you have time. Maybe some of you are coming here to retire and you have time to do some of these things. So, yeah.
So I do have a gym
Mhm.
membership and it's slowly working. And
And how much are you paying?
I just so you know, you have to go to it to actually work. But
Oh, I thought
anyway.
just the membership was enough. Isn't that how it
You can't
works?
just pay. I
I mean,
thought,
this is
but
how like
no,
80% of people use gyms, so it's got to be how it works.
exactly right. I bought lettuce. Why am I not losing weight? So, so I pay 31 euros a month, 30
Yeah.
something like
That
it's like
seems
30
very
euros a month.
comparable to what it costs around outside of the city too. I would say around 30 to
Right.
35 euros a month.
And you can pay up to 60 to 100 depending
Oh,
on how
really?
fancy
Oh,
your
okay.
gym is. If
Yeah.
yeah, I mean if you want something that the fancy people go to, I mean no place is immune from appealing to fancy people or
That's
people
true.
who want to think they're fancy. But even like the gym down the street that has an indoor pool is like 60 a month and it's a tiny pool. So I'm
Yeah.
not going to that one.
And if you're not going to go
But
to the
I've seen
gym,
pools.
then so you can also pay 60 euros to not go to the
Yeah,
gym. You might as well
exactly.
pay it
You
on and
can.
get some menu del dias out of that, I think, if you're not going to go. Do the opposite.
I think so.
You also have polideportivos, which is like the rec centers. They're kind of everywhere, and you can pay. I mean, Zena was doing a gymnastics class in one of those, and it costs like €5 a month for her to do that, and it was like 2 classes a
See,
month.
and I'm just finding out this now because
Well,
thanks.
you've got a well. I think your daughter is a little beyond that in her fancy ballet.
No, but
So, oh, the other
my other
daughter,
daughter
yeah.
could do things.
And then some of them have pools, but they pretty much all have some kind of activities that the kids can join. And in regard, they might have tennis courts, they might not, but they probably have basketball and some activities, and they're all. It's a rec center. It's like a YMCA, so it's very very reasonable.
Okay.
And the ones that
Okay,
we've
I don't know about
yeah, the ones
these.
that we've been to have been really nice, and some of them in the out here. There's full running tracks and everything if that's what you need. So
Right.
and some of them will do sort of I haven't seen, but they'll do classes, but I haven't seen a lot of sort of what do you call it, like leagues and things that you can join. It's more like you're sort of
Mm-hmm.
so I you'd have to look into it if you have a kid or you're interested in something specific. But it is a really good resource for that, and yeah, they might have gyms too.
And there's tennis clubs and
Yeah.
courts and things like that. And I think they're like 10 euros a person or something like that to join.
Yeah, I like to play paddle, so it's usually a 10 euro per person sort of situation. If you're not playing, like, somebody might be a member of a club and everybody can go for free, or sometimes the club is still charging
Okay.
everybody that comes to play if they're not members. So it depends on that, and that's more of an outside of the city thing. If you're going to one of the indoor courts or one of the indoor places that has a bunch of courts in the city, like Alboraya or something, it's going to be like 10 euros a person,
Right.
and that's pretty reasonable.
Got it.
And then movie tickets. We have,
Woo!
yeah,
That is now that was a happy day for me. The first movie that we saw when we first moved here, and I paid, and I was like kids, run inside, just
it can't be right.
because for the three of us, we went to see Barbie when we first moved here,
Oh,
and we went, and it was, I think it was around 25 euros for the three of us, two large popcorns and two large sodas, and the tickets was like 25 euros. Back in the States, that would have been closer to 100. And I
for
was
three
like,
people?
holy, oh
Oh my god, it's really
yeah,
gone up.
tickets
Yeah,
in the States are close to 20 bucks a piece now, and then
yeah.
three kernels of
The
popcorn is twenty
popcorn and the
bucks.
drinks are ridiculous. So the
Yeah.
movie theater that we have out here that's close to the city, it's in like a mall-y type place. The movies are 10 euros and 90 for a normal regular ticket. They do cheaper week Wednesdays, which are 7.90. And then if you're doing like 3D or something fancy, they have 15 euros and 70 cents for like 3D, 4D stuff, which they do. And some of them
Mm-hmm.
obviously have fancier seats and this type of thing. And then they do have the odd, if you sign up and you join their app and stuff, sometimes they'll do like 5 euro a day. Now,
Mm-hmm.
the thing about some of those is they may not be offering they may or may not be offering the original version for some of those things. But
Gotcha.
I think that's a pretty good
Well,
deal.
ours, the cinema that we go to in the city, there is a little club, and so we get the discounts,
Mm-hmm.
and there's we can get the discount any day, and I think there is more discount on a different day, but we still get a family rate discount on any day that we
Yeah.
choose, and if we buy the popcorn with it. So it was like, wow, this is now. Unfortunately, we don't go to the movies that
But
often.
yeah, the more you go, the more discounts probably. They have apps, and the app for the movie theater near us was not working super well. But they do, like our village here, and I'm sure they do that in the city somewhere in the park. We have free movies outdoors at night. There's
Yeah,
tons of activities you
they
can
have
do
those
for
blow up
free.
screens.
Yeah,
Those, yeah,
that's like anywhere else. But as far as what things cost, that if you're going to go to the movies, that's what that's going to cost. And we have a bowling alley, but we haven't been yet. And we were going to go do that go karting thing, and we haven't done that yet. So I don't know what those things cost.
well, so on our list to do is bowl
Yeah,
karting and bowling because my kids love bowling and we
yeah.
haven't done that since we've been here. Now I think it's about that time we should probably wrap things up. So should we give like a budget
Mm-hmm.
for like two
Two
people
people.
based on what we
Based
know?
on what we know as two families with three people, we're going to do a two-person
Yes.
budget. That makes sense.
Sure.
The two person basically, and we're just not getting into the extras. You guys do your own extras, obviously, because
Right.
everyone's different, but this will be kind of your basics. Go.
Right, basically. So I think for rent for a two-bedroom apartment, because a one-bedroom and two-bedroom apartments are about the same price, so you might as well get the extra
Mm-hmm.
room. Um, And so I would say you can find something between 9 and 1,200. We've
Yeah.
discussed you can go up to 2 and 3,000 for
Hmm.
sure, but 9 to 1,200 gives you a good range in a bunch of neighborhoods,
Okay.
so that's fine.
Um,
And I think for you
yeah,
want to
utilities, we're
say,
looking at like maybe €100 a month. That might obviously
mm-hmm.
vary. Like everything is going to vary based on certain things, but and then go ahead, you do the next one.
The phone, your internet and phone, about 60 plus whatever if you're going to do the subscription, so you want to see if it's better to do a la carte or if you might find a
That's
bundle.
true. Yeah, that
um
might come with it. And
you
then
know
groceries, like we talked about, roughly €400 a month would be pretty.
right. And then when it comes to public transportation or just getting around, whether it's transport or having a car, the price is between 60 cents to owning a car. So
60 cents to everything you own.
to everything. Or
Oh,
walking.
walking. Yeah.
To free. It could go to free to
There
everything,
you go.
right? And
And eating out. I mean, you could eat out for €100 a month, and you would eat out maybe a couple of times a week. I would think.
I think so. I mean, if you're getting finding menu del dias
Yeah.
for 10 euros a piece, that's 20 euros a meal, 5 meals a
Yeah.
month there you've eaten
And I
at.
will say,
I
wine
think
and
at a
beer.
nice
Yeah, wine and
restaurant.
beer is very, very cheap here, but you can still rack up a bill. So obviously, if you're adding wine and beer and you're drinking a lot of it, it's going to go up.
Exactly. But I would say that even $100, say if you're a person that just wants to have one nice dinner in it, you
That's
can
true.
eat out for two people for €100 at a
Really
really
nice
nice
place.
restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the fancy
Hmm.
steakhouse place, you can get
That's a
that.
good point.
So
Yeah, you could
with
do a lot of little things, or one or two nicer things. Yeah, for sure. And then we just threw in like €100 of miscellaneous because I'm not sure that's just extra things that might come up, I guess. And then health insurance, you're looking at about 100 a person. Depending on your
per
age, it
month,
could be
right?
less or more, but that's a kind of rough estimate. And then we obviously have a huge difference in home insurance because we have a house. So we're looking at like €50 a month for our house.
Because you also own it and it's got mortgage
Because we
insurance
own it,
and
we're
you gotta
responsible for it. So you're renting.
for everything,
So there
right?
is also the owner of your apartment will have an insurance on that apartment too, but your part
For the whole building, yeah. Mine represents the people that get hurt or the things that get broken
yeah,
inside the apartment. I pay 150 for
for
the
a whole
year,
year.
so
Yeah, so
it's
obviously
for a whole
significantly
year.
different. And we did not recalculate what that actually comes to, so somebody else
But
will have to do that.
I would say about 2 to 2,200 a month. That probably
Yeah,
comes out to for two people. It's a good place,
yeah.
a good starting.
And you haven't really, at this point with that price, you really haven't sort of gone shopping or fixed a major thing that might have gone wrong in your house. Or I don't know, if you're renting, that's fine. It's
Right.
not your responsibility. But, if you choose to add a pet or two onto that, these sorts of life things that happen, you would need
Right.
obviously more than that, but that would cover your basics. We are not
Right.
accounting for you shopping at El Corte Inglés for like all your clothes and all your everything and your it's
Right.
like, yeah. And also there is a range here, right? I mean, we have Primark and
Right.
Lefties and places where you can get just a colored t-shirt for not very much, and then you can go buy fancier things. So there is a range of good
Right.
shopping opportunities here where you can be frugal or less frugal as you choose, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think that kind of covers our very
That's
how we have managed to merge into the Spanish
how we've
lifestyle and then totally got used to it and complain about the pricing. That's how it works.
yeah. How we were shocked and now we're
Right.
shocked, right? Like we were pleasantly shocked and now every time we go, what do you mean 3 extra
Right.
cents for that bottle of water?
And then with you are the same person here. So if you're the person that's like, where did you get the best deal on this back home? You're going to be that person here after a while.
Totally.
Where did you find those strawberries? You got
Totally.
them for how much? What? Where? And
And after you've lived here a while, then two people who, I don't know if you've had this moment, I'll just end this with this. That I've had people like, oh, can you believe I only paid €5 for this? I was like, 5 years, you can get that for 3. You
that's
totally
right.
got hosed. I mean, oh, what a
Right?
newbie.
It's so funny. No, absolutely true. So, I hope that helps anyone that's listening to have a bit of a budget idea. And, that's us.
There you go. Till the
Thank you
next
for
time.
listening. All right. Bye.
Hasta luego. Hey, can't get enough of us? Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Spain Podcast.
And on our website, ourspain.com, which we will be updating with exciting new things as we grow.
We would love for you to message us with any topics you would like to hear about.
See you next time.
Bye!